Okay, I was this many days old when I understood what a linear power supply is compared to a more modern switched power supply. Um, and wow, I just can't believe I've really never understood this. These type of power adapters, which are typically lightweight, they're called switching power supplies. Very efficient. They work great for a lot of things, but in my application here, it does not work. I have some screenshots, but through my oscilloscope, if I would just take the tip of my oscilloscope and touch the power output pin of said DC adapter, I would not get just a flat, DC output of 12 volts. You'd actually get like AC and all kinds of crazy stuff, unless you take the ground reference on your oscilloscope and attach it to the negative on said connector. That will show you that, but very interesting to where you have to have the circuit completed in order to see that constant DC output that the power adapter offers. That if I were just to take this and hook it up to, let's say, a separate ground altogether, it would not be 12 volts DC. It would be some crazy AC voltage. It sounds absolutely insane, but these things, the switching power supplies, will not work for my application. What you need is the more legacy styled, I suppose linear is what they call it, power supply, that if you basically take the oscilloscope to the outside of this connector, you get 0 volts, and if you connect to the inside, you get the expected 12 volts constant DC power. This is a ground, and this is the 12 volts. Whereas in the switching power supply that we have just through over there, you hook the oscilloscope up to the outside and you get a crazy waveform. You hook it up to the inside, you get another crazy waveform. You hook up a series circuit and you get the expected 12 volts DC flatline out of it. Makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't know how physics work, but circuit would not work with the switching power supply. It had to be a linear type power supply. This is for the power to the MOSFET, as well as the power to the PWM that I have here, because I'm only taking the positive output to the MOSFET. The MOSFET is being fed by a different higher voltage circuit, so the ground on that is different. We want that just to be ground, and this just to be ground, not whatever craziness a switching power supply does. So that's very interesting find today. I'm learning every day. Humbled myself. Always learning. More to come.
In this series of videos, I document my progress on unlocking the secrets of Stanley A. Meyer. For over a decade, I've studied and replicated the devices of Stanley Meyer, specifically the water fuel cell, a device that splits water into hydrogen and oxygen for use as a combustible fuel. Here, I discuss water fuel cell theory in hopes of connecting with other like-minded individuals to unlock the secrets. This is Stan's Revenge.
Continuation from my last video, switching power supplies here. You can see this frequency that I get on it hooked up to this one pin. Hang on. This is it with the ground pin on my probe here on the negative. See that? That's what DC looks like. Just that yellow line meh, above the yellow line there, right? Here again with that ground disconnected. Look at that waveform on DC power adapter. What the heck? Now hold up. Here it is, switch over to the other side. What? It's getting the same thing. How is that possible? Let's take a look. Alright, here I've added this purple line, which is going to be the other connection here on this DC power supply. We have the positive and negative, quote unquote. We're gonna hook it up here, which I've split. Here they are, both connected, and here's the resulting waveform. Look at that. So essentially, the waveforms cancel out to whatever voltage there is. That's wild. Hold up. I've made their zero reference voltages the same there. So where that number 2 is, with that line, that's zero reference voltage. And you can see the yellow is separated from the purple there. It's the same exact frequency, but just separated. So I'm assuming when put together, that makes a 12 volt DC signal. That's wild. I'm gonna pause this. Look at that. I'm gonna zoom in. What in the heck? That is wild. And there it is running. That's gotta be one of the craziest things I have seen in electronics and how electronics work. This old school style here, this linear non-switched power supply, if I hook up to it, I get expected outcome from DC. On the outside, I get nothing. On the inside, I get 12 volts DC as expected. It's really wild. So it's like these switching mode power supplies are like emulated by alternating frequencies offset to the amount of whatever voltage it is. Or am I getting this right? I am just befuddled by how this technology works. I knew of the high frequency transformer and all that, but I thought the output was DC just like normal. I had no idea it was like that. And this one here was completely different than this other switching mode power supply I used, which was completely different from the frequency I got from my professional one that I just unboxed. Never stop learning.
This is Stan's Revenge.